So, what's up guys, I am BlackOpsAmazing, welcome back to another zombies video on the channel. Today back with a Q&A, taking your questions from the comment section below and answering them on the zombie storyline and Easter eggs. Thank you all so much for the support on these videos. If you have been enjoying or do enjoy this one, a like rating, as always, would be appreciated. Could we shoot on this video for 2,000 likes? If you are not already subscribed, make sure you click that sub button to stay up to date with the latest content. And without further ado, when you're ready, here we go. So the first question of today from James Fry says, what if the Mob of the Dead people never killed the weasel? Well, as I'm sure you'll know if you've played the Mob of the Dead Easter egg, there are two different endings to the Easter egg. One ending if you kill the weasel and the other if you don't. If the characters kill the weasel, then the cycle continues. Whereas if they don't kill the weasel, and instead the weasel kills them, the cycle is broken. I don't think there's an option where you just can't kill anyone. It just keeps going until either the weasel kills them or they kill the weasel. But as I said, in order to break the cycle, the weasel has to kill the other mobsters. If he does that, the cycle is broken. They don't keep replaying these same events over and over again in Mob of the Dead, and so the weasel is, as we believe, free to leave Alcatraz, leaving the other three characters trapped in purgatory. Whereas if the characters manage to kill the weasel, then the cycle will continue. The reason why they got sent here in the first place is for doing all of their bad deeds. The weasel was the character who was betrayed by them. Finn, Billy and Sal killed the weasel on the rooftop, leading them to become trapped in purgatory. And so if they replay that same event that they did on the night of New Year's Eve when they killed him, if they do the exact same thing and kill him again, then the cycle continues. And it keeps going on and on and on, and the characters will continue to be trapped in Alcatraz until they do something different and break the cycle. So to answer your question, if the Mob of the Dead people never kill the weasel, well, that means the weasel kills them and the cycle is broken. Or on the other hand, if the characters do kill the weasel, then the cycle continues. Siderius McQueen says, BOA, what happened to the original crew after they blew up Earth? Also, what's your favourite food? So, well, that's my favourite food one first, probably. Pizza maybe? It's gotta be pizza, right? Pepperoni pizza with jalapenos, red onion. That for me is the ideal pizza. I mean, Let me know your favourite foods in the comment section below, but to the question on zombies, what happened to the original crew after they blew up Earth? Well, we don't really know. We don't see what happened to them in game, and it's also not told what happens to them in the Conorium. And so we don't really know. All we can do is just give our theory. In the Conorium for Moon, which takes place on October the 13th of 2025, it says, using the Vril device and the focusing stone, Richtofen completes his grand scheme. He swaps bodies with Samantha on Moon, giving him full control of the zombies and the ether. Maxis then contacts the remaining members of the Ultimus crew through the station's electronics and asks them for their help to defeat Richtofen. They agree, they launch missiles at Earth, leaving it fractured and broken. They sever Richtofen's connection with the ether, but he maintains control over the zombies. Once Maxis controls the ether in 2035, he returns to the moon and plucks Samantha from Richtofen's body to join him in Argotha. And then after this, we move on to Nuketown. So you see from that, the Conorium doesn't tell us what happened to the original characters. It tells us that they assisted Maxis in blowing up the Earth and severing Richtofen's connection to the ether, but after they do that, it just moves on to Nuketown, and that's exactly what we also do in the game. We blow up the Earth, and then our next map is Nuketown. We hear nothing of this original crew. We are not told what happened to them, whether they are still trapped on the moon, whether they got to escape, whether they eventually died, are they still alive? We don't know. Maxis did go back once he took control and buried. He went back from 2035 to 2025 Moon, just like it says in the Conorium, and plucked Samantha from Richtofen's body. So Maxis did save Samantha from the moon, but it seems like if Samantha was still there, trapped in Richtofen's body, which means Richtofen's body was still wandering around the moon, so we could assume that still in 2035, 10 years later, the other characters were still on the moon as well. But as we see, Maxis didn't save them, he only saved Samantha. What happened as time went on to these other characters? Also, I actually wonder what happened to Richtofen's body after Samantha's soul left. After Maxis took Samantha from Richtofen's body, what happened to him? Is his body still alive? Is he still walking around, or does he collapse when you take Samantha's soul out of his body? Because that would now mean that he doesn't have a soul. But then again, we also know that Maxis in Revelations didn't have a soul. He only had a brain, and he was still alive. So how would that work? Do we now have Richtofen on the moon with no soul? And without that, is he now good? I mean, it's so confusing. But if our characters are still trapped on the moon during Buried, then we could assume they are still on it after Buried. I would assume they never got to escape and probably died. I mean, they can't live on there forever, right? They would have to have food, although we've never seen them eat once in our zombie storyline, but they could have only died. I don't see how they could have escaped, unless in the future, Black Ops 4 or whatever, we're going to hear about what happened to them, but the Chronorium doesn't tell us anything, and so for that reason, we don't know. I mean, there is a teleporter on Moon that links to Earth, to Area 51. I don't see what could have stopped them taking that. I don't know, I just think it's quite strange that we never heard from them again, since we'd been with them for so long, but that's just what it is. The next question from Nong Nunch Lidi, is that your name? Says, why do the CDC and the FBI agents get helped with weapons, perks, and Pack-a-Punch? And that's quite an interesting question, because isn't it supposed to be Dr. Monty who controls these things? Dr. Monty is the one who gives us the Pack-a-Punch, the perks, the weapons on the wall. He gives our characters these, so why is he helping out just some random CDC and FBI agents? It's kind of a strange one. The only reason I could think is, obviously Malton is trapped in the bunker in Nuketown. So maybe if Dr. Monty didn't help out the CDC and FBI, and actually, by the way, it's not the FBI, it's the CIA, but maybe if Dr. Monty didn't help these two groups out and they ended up dying, that could have meant that the zombies would have then been able to attack and kill Malton, and Dr. Monty might not have wanted that to happen because Malton is an important character in the storyline. Without Malton, there'd be no transit crew. The transit crew probably wouldn't survive. We wouldn't have maps like Transit, Buried. That endgame wouldn't have been able to take place. Without that endgame, Samantha wouldn't have been able to travel to Origins. Origins wouldn't have happened. Basically, it would have broken down the cycle, and the cycle would have ended. It wouldn't have taken place. And as we know, from what it seems like, Dr. Monty is the character who wants the cycle to continue. He is the one who was sending our characters back to the very beginning to do this cycle over and over again. So I'm thinking possibly if he didn't supply these characters in Nuketown with weapons and stuff to help them out, that could have meant Malton could have been killed by the zombies because he was vulnerable. No one was there to essentially protect him or distract the zombies from attacking him, which means that the zombies cycle would have been interrupted. And Dr. Monty doesn't want that. I mean, there could be another explanation behind it. I don't know. That's the only reasonable one I could think of. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Jason Corsi says, BOA, why did the Wolf King die from arrows if they were fighting the Apothicons and zombies? So that's right. If you take a look in Der Eisendrache on the walls, you can see a painting of the Wolf King dead, and he's clearly been shot by 2 arrows in the shoulder. But we thought that the Wolf King fought along Pablo Marinus and the Origins crew in the 1300s. They fought along them against the Apothicons during the Great War. Surely Apothicons wouldn't use a bow and arrow, so how was the Wolf King killed by 2 arrows? Well, actually, the Wolf King didn't die in this battle. As we know, he defeated the Apothicons during the Great War along with Primus. He won that war, and we know that because after the Origins characters told the Wolf King to build the castle of Der Eisendrache. Once they were defeated, they told the Wolf King to build this castle, and then they walked away. So the Wolf King never died during the Great War. In fact, he died in a battle many years later. The Great War ended on December 31st of 1299, and the Wolf King died 18 years later on September the 19th, 1318. We're honouring the Wolf King's dying request. His loyal servant Arthur scattered his bones around the grounds of Der Eisendrache. So we see that he actually died 18 years later. It must have been in a different battle. We know during those medieval times, there would have been loads of battles going on between different kings, different areas around Europe. As we know, he was in Austria, so he could have been in battle with another king or something. We don't know, but he did die in battle 18 years later, and we can see he got struck by 2 arrows seemingly in the chest. So he never died during the Great Battle. It was in fact a different one many years later. So guys, there we are. That is all for today's video. Hopefully you have enjoyed this one. If you have, as always, you know what to do. Smash that like button. You guys always surpass my expectations. So could we shoot for 1k likes on this video? Leave any questions you have in the comment section below. Make sure you are subbed, and of course we'll see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.